This is the table.
Anything we've got. Yeah.
They don't have it. Tell. Then he said, yeah, I didn't get it. Wow.
What? What, Laura? Nice display, huh? You take pictures of it?
Uh-huh.
As I'm doing my edit, which means I can't use it. Somebody trying to get in behind me?
All right. What's your name?
Oh, okay, thank you very much.
Have you been to
I haven't been to Delphine, the
Lake
place he's
Delphine?
telling me about.
And where?
Delphine?
Yeah. I've not been to the church.
And it's breathing.
Actually, so I said, okay, we can't have this meeting because we have the big out there.
So
It really is not very
If you find a catalog, I'll even sit and glance through
Okay,
it.
let me see if I can find something.
Oh, I got to tell you something. Boy, dear, I got mad. 78. That was Fred's sister. It was and she married a friend of hers.
It's, you want me to dust it from a fire so that you can get everything close up on it.
When I bought a house in California, I said I had to have a dining room big enough for a Louisiana table. And I found one. She loves us. That's what it is. There it is.
It just says it all.
It's just as good though.
Well, you gotta also find out who did that.
It's beeping at me like crazy. Does that
I
mean
know,
no
that's
flash?
Yeah, well, no, it means you don't have a lot of light. You don't have good lights in it.
Yeah, I've got it to where I have hardly any of the frame in it.
Okay, good.
Right.
But now I want to take some with
The wide one.
The wide.
28 millimeter.
Wide.
50, yeah, let's go with 50.
If you used the glass, if she went to the side and took it, do you think that would work?
Well, we'll try it. I mean, we could try it.
You gotta get the original anyway. Not the original, but you gotta get it printed. So that, because you have to have permission. We'll use it, not that.
Him.
Yeah,
Ask
but now
him,
listen.
Give him your name and give him your $10.
Y'all listen.
Or you can wait until you get it to pay him.
We're not nice people. We're smart people.
We are nice people.
No,
we are.
we're smart.
We're both.
If you have a Eucharistic chapel here, where you have perpetual Eucharistic adoration, this church is going to grow. We're going to get vocations. We're going to get holy priests. We're going to get so many holy priests in the state of Louisiana, they will become missionaries to the rest of the country, and the church will flourish. And from this country, we'll send more missionaries, and the rest of the world will flourish. It can happen from one Eucharistic adoration chapel. So we're not doing it because we even love you. We're doing it because we believe in you. I believe in you.
We do.
But I believe in you. I believe that when that chapel is built, and the only way it's going to get built is through us.
Now, has anybody heard
Right?
of Father Harold Cohen? Father Harold Cohen.
How many of you heard?
Father
Okay.
Harold Cohen is on EWTN all the time, and he is also, he began the charismatic renewal here in New Orleans. He just had bypass surgery, so
y'all
everybody
pray for him.
He's recuperating.
He's doing good.
He's doing
Pray.
fine. He can't have any good stuff to eat, but he's doing well.
For a while.
He has said to us that when Catholics come to terms with what happens here on the altar. Forget the rest. Forget the Protestants and the non-Christians. When only Catholics come to terms with that, our churches will be so filled that you'll have to come 3 hours early every Sunday to go to Mass. Our seminaries will be filled. Vocations will flourish. Our church will thrive when Catholics realize what happens here in our church. Our priests have asked us from time to time, I need a good method of fundraising. I have a problem fundraising. And we say to them, if you give them Jesus, you will never have a problem with money. We were in a church.
Isn't that true?
Last night in Lafayette.
And don't touch their churches either.
It's in the little town of Dalcombe, and it's called Our Lady of the Lake.
Beautiful.
And they have a young priest, his name is Father Tom Voorhees, and he gives the people Jesus.
Like your priest.
Like your priest. He gives them Jesus. And it was the 100th anniversary this year of the church, and so they needed to renovate the church. It's 100 years old. Probably
a lot of money.
For 30 or 40 years. They needed $121,000. And because this priest gives those people Jesus, what do you think they were able to gather up in donations? $151,000. Praise you, Jesus. And that church is so beautiful. They got a big apostolic blessing from Pope John Paul II for the 100th anniversary of the church.
I think this one deserves that too.
I think we're going to get it here too, Father. What do you think? Give them Jesus, and your priest is giving you Jesus. And as long as you have Jesus here, your church will flourish, your children will be blessed. Eucharistic adoration is one of the most powerful gifts the Lord has given us.
If you want miracles, and we are in the days of miracles, make no mistake about it. Don't anybody tell you differently. They're going to try to humanize it all over the place. They don't know what they're talking about. We have seen miracles. We have seen people riddled with cancer and it gone. We have seen x-rays to that effect. We have seen conversions come about. You do believe in Jesus in the Eucharist. You do. Because of you, people like you who are adoring the Lord. Last year we had 160,000 converts to the Roman Catholic Church in the United States alone. Those were the people who knew. Those are the people that Father Harold Cohen said, if Catholics know what happens on that altar, you will not be able to get into the churches. Evidently, too many of you know, because that's 160,000 now crowding into our churches, y'all. So we see what's happening. Now, that's good news, and that makes me happy, because I want all those brothers and sisters to come home to the church of their ancestors, because, you know, up to the 16th century, we were all Catholics, until a certain dissident brought about that destruction. We were all Catholics. But I don't want to lose any of our Catholics that are right now in the church. So you have to spring out this message. That's what we do. That's what evangelization is. You are evangelizing through communication just as much as we are.
We have a suggestion. How would you feel if each one of you next week would go to a neighbor and invite him to come to church? Oh my God! First of all, they can't shoot you if you invite them.
They may never talk to you again.
Second of all, you may find some people that are just looking to be asked.
To be invited.
We spent some time in April at the Franciscan University of Steubenville with the young people, the students. Beautiful, beautiful young Catholics, full of the fire of the Holy Spirit. And one of them was graduating, and he was getting out into the world, and he says, can you tell me a ministry where they go door-to-door evangelizing? I said, well, the only ministry that I'm aware of that does door-to-door evangelization is the Legion of Mary. And he couldn't believe me when I told him that, but as far as I know, that's the only one that goes door-to-door, has ever gone door-to-door. When we started our Legion of Mary in Southern California, our priest said, I'd like you to take a parish census. What he wanted us to do was to go door to door and ask, were there any Catholics there? And if there were, just say, our priest is dying to have you come back. Grieving until you come back to the church. And we were a marriage encounter community, so we'd go out 2 by 2, husband and wife, and we'd go out to the different, on Saturday morning, we'd go all over, they're mowing the lawns and they're doing their chores all around the yard.
And their eyes would pop out of their head.
And they'd say,
"You're a Catholic?
You're Catholics and you're evangelizing?" I said, well, that's what we're supposed to do. The last 2 popes told us we're supposed to do that.
And now mind you, this is not Louisiana. They invite us in. Come on in for a cup of coffee. We sit down, next thing you hear, well, how long has this been going on?
How long
in
has the Catholic Church been doing that? Well, you're pretty sure you've got one there. You got a closet Catholic there. But then when they say to you, the last time I was in a Catholic church, they didn't do that, you know you got one.
And then all we would do is say, we go to 8:45 Mass, we'll be here at 8:30, we'll pick you up, we'll bring you to church, and after that you can come to our house, we're going to have
We'll have breakfast and we'll share about the Mass. We'll just share about what on today.
It worked.
And we would, we too, we'd have a group of about 10 or 12 people, and then other of the community that went and
It was
did
exciting.
That. We'd have little groups of 5 or 6 different groups with 10 or 15, 20 people, and we would share, and then we'd get to the point where we couldn't afford to buy all the sweet rolls ourselves, so we'd ask them to chip in with us, and some of them bring some beignets and cafe au lait and stuff like that, and it was really beautiful, and it is a way of evangelization. We must do it. We need to do it. We need to bring our Catholic brothers and sisters back. And I think this parish is just ripe for that. I think these guys would be terrific for that.
You know, we had a sad occurrence that happened in our ministry, but it shook us. We didn't know what we were going to write about. It was the first time in, 11 years that we didn't know what we were going to write about.
Our next book. All right, we have a theory. I'm just going to tell you quickly. We believe that as long as we're doing something, the Lord will not take us home. So as long as we have a project going, if we're in the midst of a project and we're getting ready to finish it, we start a new one, then the Lord's got to let us stay around until after that one gets done.
Tell them when we were going to Mother Angelica.
So one time we're on a plane going from Southern California to EWTN. We were doing a series, and we're in the middle of a book. And we got to around Dallas. And
that's a bad place.
There was a thunderstorm so bad in Dallas that we were up in the air 90 minutes, circling the airport. And it got so bad up in the air that the plane was going like this. And at one point we thought, this is it.
This is it.
The Lord is coming to take us. And we started sharing and praising
first we were praising.
Praising the Lord.
We always asked the Lord for one thing. We said, take us together. So here we think, this is it.
He's answering our prayer.
Instead of telling him not to let the plane go down, the poor people in that plane didn't know what we were saying. We're saying, praise you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. And then we started saying, well, thank you,
for everything that he's
happened
given
in our
us.
life,
The big flashback was taking place. Everything that had ever happened in our life, we're praising the Lord for. And at one given point, we said, wait a minute. We haven't finished the book on the angels. we can't die. We've got to wait until that book is finished. That plane was down on the ground in 5 minutes.
The angels said they hadn't finished that book.
So this year, when we didn't have anything to write about, my wife was in a panic, understandably so.
And I was talking to the Lord. I said, well, I guess this is it. This is it. We're coming home. Okay, we've written 12 books. This is it. We'll be seeing you soon. I really felt that way. I wasn't depressed. I just, I started to prepare Brother Joseph and Luz Elena now, do this and that. Of course, Luz Elena was having a stroke just listening to me. I was getting everybody ready. We're going home. And then we get a phone call. Now, Luz Elena comes from a very strong Hispanic family, very strong religious heritage, like y'all.
And a little niece, we had gone to her 15th birthday celebration, which with Mexicans, it's called the quinceañeras. The girl is dressed in a bridal gown, and it takes place in church, and she
has a court just the way you do when you get married.
She goes to Our Lady, to the statue of Our Lady, and she vows chastity.
She offers her chastity, a vow of chastity to Our Lady.
And this little girl had done that, and now she was 18 years old and had just entered university, a secular university in Southern California.
And within, go ahead.
She had been there for less than 3 months, and she had been bombarded by these sects, all these cults that are there at these colleges, these Pentecostals, and they were really after her, and within a short period of time, she was questioning the faith.
Oh, she was going to their church. It was called the Church of Christ.
They gave her a
Maybe you've
Bible
heard
with
of it.
her name stamped on it.
Hot stamped Bible. Well, by the grace of God, thank you, dear Jesus, she had brought a cousin, and the young man who has since joined our ministry used to have his daughter write a little composition on
Sunday's homily.
Sunday's homily and gospel. So he was doing the Spanish at our ministry at the time. He wasn't with us. And he asked her, he said, did you write your composition? And the child kind of hesitated. He said, well, all right. He said, what was
tell me about the
tell me
homily.
about, what was the one thought you got? Because this man is so excited about everything that's church. He too had gone through everything the way young people do, Hare Krishna and what have you, came back to the church, and he's like a sponge. So he says to his child, what was the message you got? Silence. And then he said, well, whose gospel was it? And she said, Matthew. He said, no, it wasn't. It was Mark. Did you go to church? She said, yes. What church? And that's how we found out
that this cousin had brought her to one of these non-denominational churches, and we realized that with all the outreach that we've had, all of our ministry, we had forgotten our little home, our little home base.
We had not reached our own. That's very devastating. I know you all feel that way, you know, when you're doing all this work and then your son leaves the church. Well, anyway, we called her up, we paid for her airplane ticket, got her up to Sacramento, and she came with all these questions. Well, within a weekend, that was over.
And we had a beautiful priest come and visit with us, and he shared with her, and before you know it, she was fine. But then she said, well, what do I say to these people? How do I go back there? Because they're going to come after me again.
And so he was very spirit-filled, and he said, tell them that you have had a strong foundation in the Roman Catholic Church, but you thank them, and you will always pray for them because they brought you closer to Jesus. But now, you want to continue the journey in your own church.
Now, from this experience, we became so aware of what's going on the college campuses that we asked Father Scanlon, the president of Franciscan University, if we could go there, videotape interviews with the young people and with the professors to find out what is happening on our college campuses. And some of the things we found were shocking from the students and the professors who had been students in secular or even Catholic universities, that statistically when a young person graduates high school and goes into one of these universities and leaves home for the most part, 90% of them stop going to Mass.
90%
of our young
stop
people
going to Mass.
Our Catholic, we don't have any Catholic activities other than, we don't have the Newman Club anymore. Some of them have sort of a campus ministry where they'll, in this one particular college, all they did was have Mass on Sunday in the Lutheran Center. Now, why was it in the Lutheran Center and not in a Catholic center on a secular campus? And they had dinner on Thursday night.
That was it.
That's it. Meanwhile, every day in the middle of the plaza of the college campus, there were hundreds of young evangelists from all kinds of sects trying to bring our young people away from the church and bring them into their sects.
And you know, even after she tried to break relations, and at first they were very angry, they came back, we found out, because we interviewed her again, they came back, and she told about the thing that really did it for her, and it was that her mother had cried. And boy, they snapped at that. You have no idea how these young people, they're dedicated. They're not bad.
They're dedicated.
But they're well-trained, and they're well-trained to alienate your children from you. That's the first thing, because that's what this young man said. He said, you're only in the Catholic Church because you love your mother. And wow, what God says about anyone who puts mother in front of God. What
So
a
they twist everything.
manipulation. And so, why are we telling you this? You must teach your children. You must strengthen your children. You must get this word out to your children so that your children will not fall prey. We thought we could live on an island, and many of you know our story. We really didn't care about you. That's the hardest thing for me to say because I love you so much now. But I only cared about my own family. At the end of the day, I used to say, pilgrims, draw the wagons into a tight circle and don't let anybody in.
Keep the world out. Well, our son died of an overdose of drugs at 19 years old. So obviously we did not keep the world out, because you cannot keep the world out. You can only change the world. And that is our job. And those of us who are white-haired and we think we don't have to do anything anymore, we've done our job. Wrong, sorry, we cannot retire. We have no time for you to retire. We have so much work for you to do. The Lord has got a tremendous amount of work for you to do, and especially us white-haired people, or people who should be white-haired. Our grandchildren, that would be my first line of evangelization, would be my grandchildren. I have a perfect opportunity to teach my grandchildren. The parents are out working, they don't have time for them. A lot of them will leave the children with the grandparents. This is a perfect role for you. Tell them stories about the faith. This is all we do. We tell stories. We're storytellers. And we tell stories about the faith. You can tell stories about the faith. You can teach your children the faith.
And tell your children about the price that your ancestors paid. Because they certainly didn't pay that price for a piece of bread, did they?
And now, at this point, we're closing. We're going to call it quits.
Brother Joseph's going to get us. I'm going to teach you a song.
We have a song. That we have a big ending. Well, whenever we give a talk, there's a beautiful... I know there are no Irishmen here.
Now you have to stand up.
Stand up. Everybody stand up. You got to do a little work.
You want to help Papa with this? Oh, you...
He's got it.
Okay. Let's see if that does it. Otherwise, take this one. I think this is strong.
Can you all hear?
love, your reception, and for who you are. Louisiana, we love you.
God bless.
God bless you.